created this PowerPoint, I think 2010, for the Prague TA conference. And some of it may not apply now, but let's see. I'm going to show it as it is and we'll do what we do with it. So in transactional analysis, apparently, because I never met Eric Byrne said, if you can't draw it, it's not TA. So the drama triangle comes out of TA, that one comes out of TA. So when I was preparing for my big exams, my TSTA exams, which is training, when I was training to be a training and supervising transactional analyst, I needed to, one of the requirements was to go and present at 6 different international conferences. And I thought, oh, hang on, Eric Byrne, in his 1964 book, Games People Play, described autonomy as the goal of transactional analysis. And autonomy, from Eric Byrne's description, is the recovery or deepening of our capacities for spontaneity, awareness, and intimacy. And I thought, but there's no autonomy triangle. So I drew it. So, what is autonomy? I've just given you Eric Byrne's definition. Intimacy, from a transactional, Eric Byrne's point of view, is the expression of the authentic feeling and needs. So, like the really clear distinction in possibility management between emotions and needs, Eric Byrne had it in that the feelings in the adult ego state are not the racket feelings of the parent and child. So he said intimacy is the expression from the adult ego state of feelings and needs. And linking now to the life position map we just did. And I know I'm okay. And I know my feelings are okay and my needs are okay. And he said it's about awareness. Being aware of our beliefs. So this is now linking to the engineering, this survival mechanism engineering. We're aware of our beliefs, sensations, feelings or emotions. We're aware of our behavior and our relating style. And spontaneity. And I split up the word with aliveness. So we're really living our life with vitality and authenticity. And I was really pleased with this autonomy triangle. I haven't got Janet Redmond 2010 on there. So then what is shame? Shame is an emotion that interrupts autonomy, masks authentic feeling and needs, and for its transformation, I believe, requires a systematic approach.
Hold on. What do you mean by systematic approach?
It will come.
It'll come.
So these are pictures of someone really going in on themselves, feeling shame. And I've used the acronym of shame now. I like to use acronyms to learn things. And I believe shame, the S of shame is self-regulation process. It's a way we are using I don't want to get ahead of myself. Shame, let's just leave it as it is. Shame is a self-regulation process and it acts like a shock absorber. You'll see why. And the H of shame is how meaning is made of painful experience. So it's the conclusion somebody comes to. So when there's been a rupture in relationship, say somebody laughed at you or laughed at me, and instead of saying, hey, don't laugh, I don't like it, the person cowers and goes inside and makes sense of, oh, well, I'm unlovable, so no wonder they do that. So it's how meaning is made of a painful experience.
And the meaning goes inward.
Inward, yes. And you may not know, so this is the difference. I won't bring that, that's a different topic. Yes, so then it needs a careful inquiry to know, wow, what did you just think when you turned away, when you looked away? Oh, I won't jump ahead of myself. So it's also having awareness of sensations and feelings is completely discounted. Our ability to, we've usually desensitized the body and cut off feelings, that disavowal word. So the awareness of sensations and feelings is discounted and ignored. And it's how we manage the loss of connection by reinforcing our limiting script belief, those core beliefs.
I didn't get this M. Would you say
Yes.
in another way?
So we manage the loss of connection with the person on the outside by going inward, like you just said, and reinforce, oh, well, I'm not lovable. It's because there's something wrong with me. It's not, hey, I don't like it, don't laugh at me. Because that would be then between. So this is, we're managing the loss of connection of being laughed at by reinforcing the conclusion we came to. Is that clearer?
Yes.
And then any emotion that is expressed is what is a racket feeling, a cover feeling. Thankfully, possibility management knows that emotion is emotion and it's from the past. And what I'm saying, so shame is a racket feeling or an emotion using PM language that serves an important psychological function. As you can see, the swan. It helps us to fit in as a way of managing the loss of connection. How? By concluding there's something wrong with me. Total internalization process. And I think it's like a cowering dog. Shame means we cower and lower ourselves. And before I did this presentation, I called it envy, the annihilation of vulnerability. Shame, the cowering dog. I think it's in here, let me see. So now I've got a map of where I was born in Burnley in Lancashire, England. And this is my From Shame to Autonomy. Oops. So then shame needs a metamorphosis. And I've got that beautiful cocoon. It's really beautiful for me to do this 13 years later. When we're working with shame, because of the entangled ego states that we drew with symbiosis, it really needs a sensitive inquiry. And a space holder, someone that's going to hold the space, protect it from criticism, from harsh stimulus. So I'm using the acronym again. It needs an attuned other, someone who's attuned to the experience underlying that belief. When the person came to that conclusion, there was something wrong with me. So, hey, what was happening? Well, they laughed at me. I peed my pants, I was so scared, and they laughed at me. That's that's quite a familiar example. So tell me, what was that like to be laughed at? And what was it like that you were so scared you wet yourself? Well, I had a big wet patch on my trousers, and so it really needs a sensitive, attuned space holder. And then my job as a space holder is I'm watching, making careful observation of the indicators of loss of self-connection when you're going inwards, or distance in between us. Any questions, or is it clear enough?
No, it's clear.
Thank you.
Keep going.
And it needs, for the metamorphosis of it, a place for the expression of the authentic feelings and needs. Whoa, I needed someone to come and protect me and say, hey, we don't laugh at someone. We support. So protection. And an expression of the emotions of that time. I think I'm just confirming that.
And I have one question about the expression of the feelings.
Yes.
That is it, and the needs, especially the part of the needs. So probably the needs it's coming from the past, and it's about the person just expressing it because she can't change what happened, right?
No, however, when we were talking about deconfusion of the child ego state, oh no, that wasn't with you.
We
was
didn't
it?
record it, but you spoke about
Yes.
that with me.
So then all this is confused. There's decontamination, that you know which ego state is which. However, there's such a mess in the child ego state. They're not sure what's their thoughts, somebody else's, their needs. It's a big tangle mess. So it's about deconfusing. Confusion means to pour together in the Greek word. And to deconfuse means to separate them all out. So you were scared that you'd wet yourself, yes. And you were angry that they were left, yes. And how did you express the anger? Well, I didn't. What did you do with it? Well, I just got rid of it. Oh, how? So it's a really gentle, systematic inquiry for their discovering.
But you didn't answer yet the question. I asked what the need, what will happen with the need of the person. So, for example, this person needed back then in the past protection, and this person didn't have no one to come and to say, we don't laugh of each other, stop to do that. And my question is, the process of healing is just expressing I needed that and recognizing that I didn't have, and maybe feeling the sadness and the grief, or includes also something else in the present now?
I think it will come further on. Because the needs have been not met so consistently and so young, sometimes a person doesn't even know the concept of protection. And so then I'll have this guess of, wow, so I'm asking a question there's no answer to. Who protected you? Oh, no one. I mean, I already know there'll be no one, or else they wouldn't.
But it's the self-inquiry that you're saying.
Exactly.
To the self-discovery.
Self-discovery. No. What would someone have done if they protected you? And again, so it's like letting the pennies drop inside. Like stardust, I'm twinkling with my fingers here. So that they start to recalibrate their thoughtware to consider, oh, I needed protection.
So I'm receiving a distinction between upgrading and recalibrating the thoughtware. It's two different things.
I think it is, because in the deconfusion part, this is what I'm doing. The hole where the need for protection would have been a jigsaw piece that filled the hole is not there. So then my job as a space holder, when it's this really young wounding, is to think, what would that child have needed? And find a way to introduce the possibility. Because how can you upgrade something that's a great big mess? So yeah, that's why deconfuse. What's been poured together, let's separate out the separate threads. Oh, so that's your mum's reaction. Yeah, she whacked me when I got home for wetting my shorts. Because she was already depressed and, didn't want to have to do any extra washing, for instance. So then the mum's reaction's in there, the kids' unmet needs in there, the emotions in there. Bloody mess. So, how does shame limit autonomy? Well, what I could have said, it's a racket feeling that limits vitality and autonomy and reduces our capacity for spontaneity, intimacy. And how? By reinforcing those core beliefs, the limiting script conclusions. We discount in our awareness of our sensations, authentic feelings, and associated needs.
And back then you didn't have the mixture of the feelings, right? The mixed feelings.
I did.
You did?
Because I'd met Clinton in 2007.
Okay.
It comes later, I think. And it requires, so this is a summary, and it requires an attuned, sensitive, and systematic approach for its transformation. Do I want to bring that now? I'm actually not going to bring that now. Just remember which. So I created a process.
Is it like a script for a
Maybe
process?
we will. Maybe we will. So what do we need to do? We need to identify the event or the stimulus. Describe what happened using observable facts. As in, what would the camera see? I'm actually going to change my mind.
I think this would be better if you did do
a piece of work with it.
Yeah, with someone
Totally with
that
you.
is doing a process of shame.
Totally. So autonomy is behavior, thinking and feeling, which is a response to the here and now reality rather than an old pattern. Burns definite. That's when we know we're in our adult ego state. Does shame limit? Am I repeating myself? What is the? Oh, I did it in the introduction. Sorry, team. Yes, I got ahead of myself. So the goal of TA, which I've already done in the introduction, is autonomy, behavior, thinking and feeling, which is a response to here and now reality rather than an old pattern. Wonder why. And there's the autonomy triangle again. There's a blank. So this is using that self in relationship model in the same format with a different focus. What happened? Why? How did you answer the question? Why did that event happen? So this is me hunting. This is at the same place as the intellectual body.
Mm-hmm.
The behavior at the top, the intellectual body here. How did you answer the question? Why did this happen to you?
And what could be any fact?
Well, let's stick with the example of the child they peed their pants at school. Because that's quite a shameful event. And how did you answer the question? Why did this happen to you? Well, because I just know they didn't love me. Nobody loves me. Where we had the emotional body the other day, it's how was this experience for you? And it's not how answering an intellectual body question like, how did it go? What was it like? What was it like before you peed your pants? Even though I'm tightening my muscles. You know what I was scared. The teacher was wanting us all to read out loud, and I knew it's nearly my turn, and I was really scared. And then where? And where in your body? Where in your body is this experience stored? So I've got this beautiful picture. Again, going over the goal of being alive. The attainment of autonomy is manifested by the release or recovery of the three capacities of awareness, spontaneity, and intimacy. I love that picture. Oops, how do I go back?
I think if you click here.
Thank you. No, what is it? Oh, you can video the slides.
And then it's over. I think you click again.
Yeah. So a reciprocal relationship involving celebration, enjoyment, delighting, appreciation, acceptance. The person's a stable other where they will hold space for all four feelings. And then we stay connected to our need for relationship, connection, protection, and mirroring. That's a big one. You know, a young child needs the mirroring so that they can know who they are.
And the mirroring is, what is it?
Well, oh, you look sad right now. What are you feeling? You know, a child that can't talk, I would have a guess at what they're feeling. So, in early caretaking and intimate relationships are fundamental building blocks in the evolution of the human brain. I love these pictures. So there's a beautiful picture of the mum. She's probably barely suckling on the mum there, but look at that. Look at the bliss on her face as the mum, and security for...
And this eyes.
Yeah. So to be human is to be vulnerable to having feelings and needs.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful again. So what I'm saying is that stage appropriate, developmental stage, appropriate attunement maximizes the possibility of neural growth, neural cohesion and secure attachment.
What is
They
it,
are
the secure attachment? Is the...
This, what, you know, this is security. You can be angry, you know, the person's not going to go away or shame you.
Mm-hmm.
And these aren't my words that I haven't written, maybe it's in the notes. Stage appropriate attunement maximizes the possibility of neural growth, neural coherence and secure attachment.
Mm.
With optimal secure attachment, we stay open. So we've just done that the relationship to power. When I'm okay and you're okay, secure attachment, we can stay open like this beautiful lily. However, suboptimal conditions create insecure attachments. Looks pretty bleak, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah. And you know, I have total compassion for caregivers who themselves are carrying such a heavy burden of intergenerational uncles, of life events that haven't been processed, whilst trying to raise a child. I think that says it all. I can't see my notes that I wrote. I'm going from...
I think it's
here. Here?
No.
So then we find a substitute. Well, it's a sad picture, but it paints the picture.
Is it plastic?
It's like a fluffy duck thing, but it won't have any rhythm or heartbeat. And so we find substitutes.
And his look like sad.
Doesn't he look so different than the other one? Oops, too many. Early experiences have a disproportionately powerful role in sculpting the networks of attachment and affect regulation due to the strength of learning during particular portals or sensitive periods in brain development. So this is a famous experiment where the milk is on the other tube that's only metal, but the little orphaned monkey preferred the terry toweling thing to hold on to for the comfort and rarely went there only to have a quick feed.
Wow, he substituted the basic needs for food to the comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what does it create that in the experiment?
Well, this is insecure attachment and showing how much we long. It's more than food we need as an infant. It's the physical contact, warmth, comfort.
The heart beating,
definitely
the warmth.
The smell of the mother. Yeah.
Wow.
Next time I do this, I will make sure my notes there because I do have the references.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my words again. So all experiences initiate neural firing.
Firing is like connection?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's making the connections.
Yes. Repeated experience cause groups of neurons to wire together. And with repetition, especially when accompanied by emotional intensity, the neural circuits develop a great probability of firing and forming our habitual responses to experience. Yes. And this state of mind becomes a state of being. Identity gets entwined with the experience. So the I, when we were doing pies, the implicit experiential conclusions. This is a neural map of what we were talking about in the pies video.
Mm-hmm. And there's no distinction between the death mechanics of the identity to the being. It's one thing.
Yeah, I'm going to show you in a different explanation. So then this is how it becomes, what's wired together fires together, and it sets off the same neural pathways. I'll leave that there a bit longer in case people want to look at the...
Yes, I'm looking at it.
So this is why I was talking the other day about neurology.
And this stays in the nervous system then? It's not just the mind or the thought?
No. Remember I said to you I want to draw the neural body, neurology, although part of the physical body, to understand some core neurology. Especially for young, when the rupture was really young. If you had pretty sound childhood, no problem.
It's like the pathways, it's shaped, and then it's giving a picture of like a circuit, you know, of electricity circuit that is shaped, and the paths is there. So wherever the electricity comes, will go there in that same pathway, and it's what does it take? The question that comes, maybe not to answer now, is what does it take to reshape the pathways of the nervous system?
Well, yes. One, releasing the feelings, being able to find the narrative of what happened. Again, I might be getting a bit ahead. I'm not forgotten what's in the rest of this. And this is where trauma release exercises, TRE, really works on the neurological level. The words aren't needed, and it is working at that. So this is where we develop an adapted self, the self to fit in. When we reach out for connection and relationship, we're met with responses that feel bad and recoil and close. This is what we talked about in pies. So this, to me, this is the plait. Experience, identity, and core belief become a 3-strand plait.
What is that?
Plait. When you tie your hair in 3.
Ah, okay. La tranza. Okay.
And that's why it's pretty hard to work with it. That's why, you know, change your belief system. That energy will... I haven't found a way to make it work with working with this embedded shape. Envious transactions and behaviours serve as the shutting down mechanism in humans.
Envious is the emotion.
Envious.
Envy?
Envy. That's the nearest English word, I reckon, to Schadenfreude on the map of mixed emotion. Yeah. So the put downs from somebody else.
I was reading it again.
You read it in your word. You read it out loud now.
Yeah, the envy emotion, transactions and behaviors that comes from this envy serve as shutting down mechanism in humans.
Yeah.
Shutting down is like pushing.
Yeah.
And
who do you think you are? How dare you ask for a biscuit when we're at Mrs. So-and-so's house? These are life examples of mine.
And this comes the picture of what adult is. I did a workshop once about repainting the being adult, because in a lot of conversations, the description of the adult I got from people was the parent ego state.
Exactly.
So we did an exercise of describing the adult through the lens of the child. And when you're doing that, and first we did in a paper and then we were sharing it in trios, we discovered that all the description job of the adult from the lens of the child was a parent view.
Yes.
This.
Exactly.
This like who you think you are, or you should do it better. Why you are not doing your homework?
Yeah.
Why did you not eat all your food?
All that. Yes.
And this is what is called parenting.
Parenting, but not from the adult. There might be an adult in the physical body, and in transactional analysis they made the distinction by I'm an adult body, little a, but my adult ego state, capital A. So we know we're talking about the here and now reality, the here and now ego state.
Mm-hmm.
An envious snake, the annihilation of vulnerability. So how does all this relate to shame? I believe that embedded shame is both a consequence and indicator of envious transactions, and that shame becomes the defense and protector against knowing one's vulnerability. So when I hear people say to me, oh, you know, there's something wrong with me, I'm just not good enough, and after I've listened a bit, I'll say, who used to envy you? 100% people say, huh? No one. What is there to envy about me?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the humiliating put downs, that envious making you not okay. Fascinating. I would say 100% people when I ask them that.
Yeah, because the protection put like, there's nothing, I'm bad, so how someone would be envy on me?
Yeah, what have they got to be envious about?
And then what happens?
Well, then you have to wait for the next slide.
You
You have to watch you cannot jump to the end of the movie.
I'm noticing I love the anticipation. Like, I have the questions of the next one.
So what's the difference between envy, jealousy and admiration? So I'm asking the question, what's the difference between envy, jealousy and admiration? And what is the difference between guilt and shame? I don't know how to turn those off. Envious transactions. This is from Hannah Heine's book. A deep feeling from inside the body and soul. It divides us from ourselves at the price of disowning part of ourselves and creates the need to hide. It's a deep sense of being flawed and diminished and seems to be a reaction to our narcissistic wound to the self. I don't think we need all the literature search. So here is me I did show confusion, deconfusion and confusion. So ideally the needs and longings are separate from our experience, from our feelings, core beliefs and identity, but it's all mixed together. Mm-hmm. So the plait was one metaphor I used, and now this. The unmet needs, the pain of the unmet needs, the pain of the longings, cutting them off, and yes. Whew. So we anticipate, like we talked about on the other video, in order to keep things familiar, predictable and reliable. In terms of the behaviour in a shame-based pattern, we're using reactive old relating patterns and maintaining the old attachment style. Mm-hmm. The experience is, oh my God, this feels bad.
That is turns I'm in bed.
Which what then got, yes, we turned it into there's something wrong with me, I'm bad. But actually it's the experience that was bad, but someone didn't help us integrate the experience. Mm-hmm. The emotions are mixed, it's the anger, sadness and fear. The identity in the middle, I am bad. And the longing to connect and for contact and for mirroring go unmet. And some people don't even know they need those things, if it's really young. And then, how do we keep all this locked inside? Through the self-criticism. So, what was the external criticism from an external figure? You're bad. You know, you were born with mortal sin. That's what I got fed as in the Catholic. You were born with mortal sin. Something wrong with you. Then becomes, it was an external criticism, and then becomes one that we internalize. And we make it then I'm stupid. There's something wrong with me. But it was external criticism once. You just did something wrong. You clumsy, knocked over the salt. Yeah. So all this is totally mixed together, and it's why, and then that's my my map for confusion in the child ego.
So when it's a shame-based identity, when it's in the identity, when it's in this level, does it not make any sense? For example, shooting voices, because this is our voices. So the tool of shooting voices doesn't actually reinforce.
It totally reinforces. Oh, see, it hasn't made the change. Must be doing something wrong. Even PM can't help me. Totally.
I'm doing that because
you put your hand over your mouth.
Yeah, because I'm feeling sad. I had already some rage clubs, and I remember one woman. Yeah, it was one woman that I noticed she had a lot of shame. In the sharings that she brought to the rage club, and we did a practice of shooting the voices, and she had a lot of voices like that. Mainly was, I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I'm doing wrong exercises, I not should be here. And then she was shooting the voices, and it was not working. And I as a space holder in the moment, I asked her what was happening, but I keep going with the shooting the voices, and I'm feeling sad now because what is the sadness about? I didn't hold space for her. I feel sad because I was forcing her to keep shooting the voices.
Thank you for feeling sad about it. That's why I did this PowerPoint, because it needs a particular. I'm looking at that bird. Looks like it's trying to get in the window. It needs this particular sensitive inquiry and looking at the psychological function of the shame, which is what I think I did in a previous.
Yes. Thank you.
So the development of the shame matrix. This is the survival mechanism engineering. This is Dr. Richard Erskine's map that I'm adapting.
The effect is the emotion.
The
behavior is the top.
Yes.
This is the intellectual body, and this is the
physical body. Yes. So working with the shame matrix helps to give a history to the shame and identifies a self that's being covered with shame. You'll see when in a minute, and increases awareness of the script beliefs that are being repeated. Whoa, there's a lot of writing on there. So I'm not using, there's one thing I could have been using, because I designed it that it could come in one sentence at a time. So I might do this again another time. This is a warm-up. So shame's a protective mechanism, and the individual recoils inside to avoid the discomfort of envious transactions, humiliation, ridicule, criticism, misattunement. And I'm going to put over-involvement, over-protection. And it's a protective mechanism that serves to distract the individual from feeling the loss of contact and connection in relationship. That's the psychological function of it. Because while I'm beating myself up that there's something wrong with me, I've totally been distracted from, oh wow, I feel a long way away from that person right now. I've lost contact and connection. So shame's the internal manifestation of the intrapsychic, on the inside, conflict between a reactive child ego state and the influencing parent. So when I drew the ego state model with the adult being the heart and the parent and child interlocking in the heart, which is Hagedorn and Sill's model I adapted. It's both of those. I still believe you cannot have a reactive child without the influencing parent that's chewing up on them, that's telling them off or criticizing them. So what we do, it becomes a compliance with the criticism and envious transaction that was once external, now internal. And shame's a protective mechanism which serves to inhibit recognition of needs longings and feelings. It's an indicator of a hidden self that went into hiding as a shock absorber. It is a shock absorber. And it's an expression of an historic, unaware hope that the other person will reconnect and take responsibility for repairing the ruptured relationship. So this, for me, Clinton thinks his opinion is it's the three, mad, sad and scared. I think it's the glad, as in the hope that the other will repair the damage in relationship. I'm so sorry I laughed at you when you wet your pants. That, especially when it's adult child. However, it's a safety mechanism to keep the world of relationships predictable.
And the hope is this victim waiting that the other person will...
I don't think it's victim capital V. So again, in transactional analysis, the drama triangle roles have the capital letters. This child was a little, didn't have the skills to say, ouch, I didn't like it when you shouted at me. Some children will, like my granddaughter would easily say that. Don't shout at me, I don't like it, Mum. But she's got a secure attachment. She knows the relationship's not at risk or threatened. So we live with the illusion of being safe, but it's not safety. It's totally inside. I have so much joy seeing what I created 13 years ago. That's not safety. Shame's an indicator of a hidden self that went into hiding. I think I'm repeating the same thing. And the awareness of even having needs and feelings is uncomfortable. I remember somebody saying to me, what do you need, Janet? Years ago I did not know what I need. And starting to feel feelings was like I was in an electric fence.
Wow.
Yeah, because it all started moving. So I must not know I have needs or feelings, because needs and vulnerabilities are dangerous. So I've drawn it like a castle. And then the hidden self is well inside the castle, I think sometimes even down in a dungeon or a freezer, when it's shame in the schizoid process. That's a whole other. That's my darling Mia, who's 15 now, so you can see how little she was then. So what's the clinical or space holding implications? That from a restrictive cocoon to help them find a way to the freedom of a spontaneous, alive butterfly. Back to the autonomy triangle. This is the pathway, helping them have awareness. If only it was that simple. And from shame bound to shame free. Going back to autonomy in the definition we've talked about before. And celebration is such a key. Delight and vitality. Awareness of, I think I'm repeating myself here. Awareness of helping them have awareness of sensations, body responses, feelings, thoughts and beliefs. And regulation of affect. So to de-escalate the affect, the feelings, emotions somebody's having. And I'll often say, may I pause you? Some people ignore it. Brrr! But their nervous system is through the roof. Every time they're retelling a piece of an event from the past, that neural pathways map you saw, it's firing. So, hey, may I pause you? I want to pause you so that your nervous system doesn't blow a foo-foo valve. Okay. So the hurry up driver, is all part of it.
And regulation of affect also include in the present nowadays having also physical attachment, like touch. For example, holding and hug. Definitely.
Yeah. So when I used to be a registered counsellor, some people would say it's unethical to touch. With this level of wounding, I think it's unethical not to touch. So yes, may I sit next to you? So even that is more than they've had, so that they can feel the presence of someone else. So it's about them resourcing their okayness to externalize the self-talk, because you won't often, the part that's in hiding, they're not going to bring that forward of what they just thought quietly on the inside. Like, say, let me come up with a quick example. So say if somebody's got a shame-based thing and somebody's talking a lot. God, do they talk all the time? But you wouldn't get that out without a big trust, first of all. Oh, tell me more about that. Oh, yeah. What do you feel when they're talking all the time? Actually angry. Tell me about your anger. I'm angry because what do you need? Actually, I want to turn to talk. So it's really gentle, systematic. The identify the function of the self-talk, and to develop the observer that knows it. Disembodied. So this is quite technical now, but this is that C1 experiences that they're totally disembodied from, dissociated from.
The C1 is the somatic child,
you it.
said?
Yes.
And the somatic child is the basic needs from the little child
from
that
the
we're
little,
not
yes.
Attuned to take care of.
And then to decontaminate, I have to keep safe. Safe being that fearful, restricted. So to be human is to be vulnerable to experiencing needs and feelings, like our Bruno here. It looks like him, doesn't it? Total surrender. This environment's there's no threat here. Love it. So the shield of shame is that we criticize the criticism of self or others, and we anticipate it, so we keep reinforcing those old beliefs. We talked about this in the other video.
Intergenerational fossils.
Intergenerational fossils. To be human is to be vulnerable to having feelings and needs. Oh, did something happen?
Is it the last?
Or maybe I took it out. I think maybe I did. So when we are, I'll go back to it. When we are parented by someone with intergenerational traumas, their needs weren't met. You know, World War I for my great-grandparents, my grandparents, World War II, the Depression, being parented by adults themselves don't have an adult ego state. Of course the patterns are going to be unconsciously reinforced.